Alright, let's take a look at Leetcode 1121, divide array into increasing sequences. So I think the problem description is a little bit confusing, but yeah, I'll try my best to explain it. So we're given an input array nums, which is, they've told us that it's in non-decreasing order. So the word non-decreasing just means it's increasing, but there could be, duplicates. Basically, if it's not decreasing, a non-decreasing array means that it can either flatline or it can go up, or it can flatline and it can go up. Whereas a strictly increasing means that it cannot flatline at any point. It must go directly upwards. It can't go flat and then up, flat and then up, right? So that means a non-decreasing can have duplicates, whereas an increasing cannot have duplicates. Okay, yeah, so that's the first clarification. And so then we're given a k value, so it says that we need to, if we do divide this input array, we need to have the divisions, the subsequences, the partitions, they need to be at least length k. So they're telling us that we can either just leave this input array the same, or we can try dividing it, but if we divide it into subsections, they have to be at least length k. And it says that we can divide them into subsequences, so they don't have to be contiguous. They don't have to be continuous. It doesn't have to be a subarray. It's a subsequence. So we can take the 1, 3, 4, and then we can take the 1, 2, 3, 4. We can take 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can take 2, 3, 4. So that's how we can divide this first example into two arrays, which are both at least length 3. They're both at least length 3, and they're both increasing. They're both strictly increasing, right? Because there's no duplicates in these two sets, right? These are all unique numbers in each individual set. So let's take a look at this second example to see a case where it doesn't work, where we cannot divide the array into increasing subsequences of at least length k. So given 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, let's just try to play around with it and see if there's any way we can divide the array into two subsequences. Or actually, right, the first thing we should check is does the input array itself, without doing any modifications or divisions or partitions, does this satisfy the initial condition where it says that the subsequence has to be at least length 3. So this is indeed at least length 3, but is it strictly increasing? No, it's not, because we have the 6 and the 6, right? That's a flat line. If you wanted it to be strictly increasing, it'd have to be like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as opposed to 5, 6, 6, 7, 8. So based on that, we can pretty much just boil this problem down to we need to separate out all of the duplicates. All the duplicate numbers have to go in their own subsequence, right? You can't have a subsequence with 5, 6, 6 and then another subsequence of 7, 8, right? The 5, 6, 6 doesn't work. So basically what we need to do is just separate each number that has a duplicate into its own subsequence, right? So if there was 2 6s, they'd have to go in their own subsequence. Right, so I've kind of written that out here. So subsequence 1, we know we need to at least have 2 subsequences because 6 has 2 occurrences. So if 6 had 3 occurrences, then we'd need a third subsequence, with a 6, right? And then we can build off of that. We can have the 5, 6, 7, then we can have like a 6 and 8 here, right? So if we have 2 6s, we know that we need to have at least 2 subsequences. And what do we know about the subsequences? They told us that each subsequence has to be at least length 3. So if we were to have 2 6s, then we'd have to at least have 2 subsequences, and each of these 2 subsequences have to be at least length 3. So we know that we need to have at least 2 subsequences of length 3. So 3 plus 3 is a total length of 6. So the only way that this would work is if our input is at least length 6, meaning we have at least 6 elements, and we don't. We have 5 elements here, right? So that means that we can't actually build 2 full subsequences of length 3. even though, we have to, at least try to build it with 2 subsequences because we have duplicates. So I'll try to explain it a little bit better with this next example. I think, I'm kind of painting the picture now, but I think this next example will kind of solidify your understanding even more. So pretty much, we're going to take this first example here, and so the input array is 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So the length of this input has 7 elements, right? And we're told that we need to divide the subsequences into length 3 or more. So pretty much we can just use a map and find the occurrences of each of these numbers, right? 1 occurs once, 2 occurs twice, 3 occurs twice, 4 occurs twice. So pretty much let's just try to, put each duplicate number in its own subsequence, right? So the 1, we can just have a subsequence 1 which starts with 1, subsequence 2 starts like that. So the 1, there's only 1 occurrence, so we just place it down in one of the 2 subsequences, and then the 2, the digit 2 has 2 occurrences, right? So we have to separate those. They have to go in their own subsequences. Then 3 also has to separate these 2 occurrences, and 4 also has to separate each of its 2 occurrences, right? So hopefully you understand why we need to, separate the duplicates into their own subsequences. So you can see that this is a valid partitioning, because both of these subsequences are strictly increasing and they have length of at least 3, right? So basically another way to check for this, we don't actually have to simulate creating these. We just have to we don't have to actually create the subsequences. All we have to do is just check that each of the numbers for their occurrences, if the occurrences right, so similar to how we partitioned it in the first example. Basically, we know that, first of all, we know that 2, since there's 2 occurrences, there needs to be at least 2 subsequences, and these subsequences have to be at least 3, length of 3, right? So we know that we need to have at least 6 total elements to satisfy the conditions of having 2 increasing subsequences and of at least length 3. So do we have at least 6 elements total? Yes, we do. We have 7 total elements. So we can accommodate for the 2. Let's try to accommodate for the number 3, right? Because 3 also has 2 has 2 occurrences, so they need to have at least have at least 2 subsequences. So same situation. So for each subsequence, we have to make sure it's at least length 3. So once again, we need to make sure we have at least 6 elements to accommodate for this 3. Do we have at least 6 elements? Yes, we have 7 total elements. And then same thing goes with the 4, right? Since 4 has 2 occurrences, they need to be placed in their own subsequences, and each of those subsequences needs to be at least length 3. So once again, do we have 6 elements to make that possible? Yes, we do. Right. So let me kind of just go over one more quick example to really solidify everything. Let's say k equals 3. So the first thing we can check is, does this input array satisfy the conditions? It is length 3, but is it strictly increasing? No, it's not, right? We have the 2 2's here. So what do we have to do if we have 2's? Let's make it 2 2 2, right? So if we have 1 2 2 2 3, we know that we have to separate all of the duplicates, right? So these 2's all have to go into their own subsequences. So we need to have at least 3 subsequences to accommodate for these 2's, right? If there's only 2 subsequences, then 2 of them would have to be bunched together in one of the subsequences, right? So we know that we have to separate every single 2 into its own subsequence, and that means for each of these subsequences, right, we're told that they must be length 3. So that means this subsequence has to have a length of 3, this has to have a length of 3, this has to have at least a length of 3. So that means we must have at least 9 elements in order to make this possible. Do we have 9 elements? No, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. So it's not possible to separate the 2's into their own subsequences, right? So it's not possible. So hopefully you guys understood that. The code is really easy. Once you understand this, it's literally 4 or 5 lines of code. So yeah, try to do that on your own, and yeah, just rewatch the video, I guess, if you didn't pick it up the first time. I think it is pretty straightforward after you grasp the concept. So yeah, give it a shot, and thanks for watching.